Today's topic will discuss the American energy renaissance, the next generation of pioneers. This presentation will cover the economic opportunities and policies, environmental controversies, and national security implications of increasing domestic oil production. My great-grandmother was a pioneer. She was a strong Texan woman who married a Native American and traveled the Oklahoma Wagon Trail. Once again, in our nation's history, the Texas Hill Country and the plains of the Midwest are open for business. Modern-day pioneers are rushing towards the heartlands of America to participate in the great revival of the North American oil and gas industry, seeking economic opportunity and financial stability. An abundance of domestic natural resources currently being unearthed by deep-sea drilling and fracking are creating what Senator Ted Cruz has labeled the American energy renaissance. Is the next generation of pioneers the solution for the struggling U.S. economy and declining hegemony?
We are seeing extraordinary developments in energy that are opening up resources that 5 or 10 years ago would have been unimaginable. That, as I said, is a providential blessing. We are seeing the beginning of an American energy renaissance. And if the federal government doesn't get in the way and mess it up, that has the potential to transform the situation for so many people who are struggling. The
United States is poised on the edge of an energy renaissance. In a short amount of time, America has developed from a nation largely dependent on oil imports to one that has potential to become the top oil producer. According to the Department of Energy, in October of 2013, domestic oil production in the U.S. exceeded the country's imports of crude oil for the first time since 1995, while petroleum net imports were their lowest since February of 1991. Already the largest producer of natural gas crude oil production has increased 40% in the past 5 years, after declining every year for the previous 20. The International Energy Agency has predicted that the U.S. will soon overtake Saudi Arabia as the world's top oil producer. The IEA also reported that oil and gas employment surged by 40% over the last 5 years, adding 162,000 new jobs. In a sluggish economy, which only increased private sector jobs by 1% in the same time period, the resurgence in American manufacturing clearly reshaped domestic interests. America is seeing a fundamental economic shift towards domestic natural gas production growth as a result of innovation in the field, increases in technology, and regulatory institutions existing in the U.S. that facilitate ease of entry for firms. Our focus for today's purpose will be on the state of Texas, but as you can see from this map of available shale gas resources, natural energy extraction is not limited to the Lone Star State. Texas accounted for about 29% of U.S. marketed natural gas production in 2013, making it the leading natural gas producer among the states. As of January 2013, the 27 petroleum refineries in Texas had a capacity of over 5.1 million barrels of crude oil per day. More than 25% of all drilling rigs in the world are working in Texas, and almost one-third of the nation's proved natural gas reserves are in the Lone Star State. Today, more than 7,000 oil and gas wells have been drilled or are scheduled to be drilled along the Eagle Ford Shale, a crescent-shaped formation 4,000 feet underground that stretches 400 miles along the Texas-Mexico border. This broadens the distribution of supply and limits the power of the oil cartels, creating a fascinating global dynamic. Sitting at the center of this boom, deep in the heart of Texas, is Boomtown, USA, Midland. With a population of almost 150,000, the city sits on top of the Permian Basin, one of North America's largest oil reserves. As of June 2013, the unemployment rate in Midland was 3.7%, compared to a national real unemployment rate of 11.3%.
Texas is getting energized thanks to a recent flood of investment into shale fields, resulting in an economic boom for the Lone Star State. Our own Brian Sullivan is in Midland, Texas, with more on this country's energy revolution, the size, Brian, and the scope. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Appreciate it. And as we told Carl and Jim earlier today, the median income now in Midland, Texas is higher than Silicon Valley. This is now the second wealthiest zip code in the United States. We're about 300 miles or so, give or take, west of San Antonio. All right, size and scope. You've heard about the Eagle Ford Shale. You've heard about the Bakken up in North Dakota. In fact, we're going to be showing you the Bakken in a couple days, but let's focus on the here and now. We went out yesterday and spoke with the CEO of Pioneer Natural Resources, PXD, one of the hottest stocks out there, and we asked him just how big the Permian Basin is. Listen.
The difference between the other two fields is that we have 8 Bakkens or 8 Eagle Fords on top of each other, just like a layer cake. And so we have a lot more potential. We're in the middle of the second largest field in the world, 50 billion barrels recoverable.
Think about that. 8 Bakkens layered on top of each other. All the new technology for drilling allows them to go get it. They not only go down, they go horizontally, right? That's what we call fracking, when you go down and then you go over. And I know, Simon, on a day where oil prices have fallen below $100 a barrel, delivered Cushing, Oklahoma, the CEO of Pioneer told us what he needs oil to be to remain profitable and where he thinks oil will be. Listen.
There's a break-even price we use, what we call discounted at 10%, PV10, probably around $50 oil. So we feel like that oil prices are going to be 85 to 100 for the next several years.
So he thinks oil will be 80 to 100 for a number of years. He also only needs $50, Simon, to remain profitable. We spent the day with Pioneer yesterday. We're going to run more of that all day today. Plus, later on, we're going to show you some of the companies you may not have heard about. This is literally a land rush, Simon. I mean, to be out here is pretty incredible. Everybody is talking about it.
$50 oil, Brian. I mean, I don't know if it could actually fall that low, but that even halfway would be totally transformative.
Because they bought on the cheap. Exxon, Chevron, a number of big players used to be here. When things went down, they sold on the cheap and went international. Companies like Pioneer came in, bought the land rights on the cheap. That's why their cost of production is so low. And we're going to show you later on today exactly how they drilled down. The technology is pretty remarkable.
All right, we look forward to it. Brian Sullivan for us in Midland, Texas this morning. Brian, thanks. Straight ahead.
Advances in 2 key extraction techniques have made natural gas more accessible. Horizontal drilling, which allows vertical wells to turn and snake more than a mile sideways through the earth, and hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. What is fracking? Developed more than 60 years ago, fracking involves injecting a pressurized fluid mixture deep into shale formations at pressures of 9,000 pounds per square inch. The pressure from the mix cracks the shale or widens existing fissures, filling the cracks with sandy grit, allowing oil, natural gas, geothermal energy, and fossil fuels to flow up to the well. Some of the fracking fluid rises to the surface through steel-cased well bores, and the recovered water is temporarily stored in lined pits or steel tanks. Companies then recycle and reuse the wastewater or store it in an injection well deep underground. While energy development has remained substantially positive, the process of fracking has come under scrutiny over concerns about contamination of drinking water, the use of chemicals, wastewater management, and the potential for causing earthquakes. Fracking has especially received negative attention due to misreporting and dramatic exaggerations in recent documentaries like Josh Fox's Gasland.
In 2006, filmmaker Josh Fox received a letter in the mail offering him $100,000 for permission to drill for natural gas on his land. He knew that in 2005, Congress had passed a bill exempting gas companies from environmental regulations. He wanted to know what impact the drilling would have on his land, so he took his camera across the United States to discover the truth about hydraulic fracturing.
The method of gas drilling they use is called hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. It blasts a mix of water and chemicals 8,000 feet into the ground. The fracking itself is like a mini earthquake. The intense pressure breaks apart the rock and frees up the gas.
6 states have documented over 1,000 incidents of groundwater contamination.
It bubbles and hisses when it comes out. I won't drink it.
They can drill whether we like it or not.
It's a free-for-all.
Our water was good before they started drilling. Then when they got done, it was bad.
Obviously, we have a problem here.
The Colorado Oil and Gas Commission is aware of the situation and will probably be doing some additional testing in the area as soon as possible.
There has been concern raised about the methods to tap these valuable resources and have been characterized as environmentally risky and inadequately regulated. Such reports are not accurate.
The neurological effects are very insidious.
Everybody was sick, including me. I have these lesions in my brain.
You get pains all over your body.
If you weren't able to do this hydraulic fracturing, how much more would we be dependent on foreign oil and terrorism?
I have one quote here from you that says that you're trying to do this in a way that doesn't damage the environment. But you also said recently that water contamination is inevitable.
Well, yeah, I mean...
are those contradictory, or...?
Despite documented health risks and environmental impact, hydraulic fracturing is spreading across the globe.
It's amazing that what took Mother Nature millions of years to build can be destroyed in a few hours with a piece of heavy machinery.
What it's doing is searching for a problem that does not exist.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
It's not supposed to do that.